Hello, my name is Bao Tran, and today we talked about successful companies that utilize the patent system. The first is Amazon. So, Amazon is one of the world's highest valued companies, originally started as an online retailer of physical books. Amazon then pursued the one-click patent, where it patented the technique of just ordering items by a single click. And this patent was so powerful that even Apple paid license to that. And so that illustrates the power of augmenting a business practice with a patent. Now, Amazon was very insightful, but in today's world, the business method concept of a one click is no longer allowed by the patent office. So that's an example of outside the box thinking by Amazon, and that contributed greatly to the profitability. Next, we talk about American Express. American Express is a financial services giant. It was founded in 1850, but it has innovated continually. The company in the 1800 added money orders and travelers check to the portfolio. And then in the 1900s, American Express reinvented itself. It was best known by offering a charge card that extended credit to consumers and businesses. And as of 2022, American Express has more than 133 million credit cards in use across the US and internationally. American Express itself has a ton of patents protecting its innovative financial business model, and startups can learn a lot from just looking at patents owned by American Express. Next, we talk about Chipotle. One of the most recent business reinvention is the fast food player Chipotle Mexican Grill. That occurred in 2022. That occurred in 2020. Chipotle is long known for its counter service approach, where customers walk in and order custom burritos, bowls, tacos, and other items. However, in 2020, the company significantly invested in high-margin drive-through pickup lanes that it called Chipotle lanes. These drive-through lanes exist primarily for mobile pickup orders, which means more customers can be served in a shorter amount of time. In November of 2022, the fast casual eatery launched its 500th Chipotle lane, citing that as critical to Chipotle's long-term strategy. Chipotle continues to see rapid and consistent growth with a projected 250 new restaurant openings and 7,000 jobs created. And it plans to open 285 to 315 additional locations. And so for Chipotle, even though it's in the food business, the value of the trademark and the brand is significant. And so it invested heavily into protecting its branding. And so even in a non-tech business, there are intellectual property assets that you can acquire. And at a startup, it would be wise to learn from Chipotle's marketing prowess and a brand strategy. Next, we talk about Corning. Corning is a world leader in glass, ceramics, and industrial material manufacturing. It mass-produced glass for Edison light bulbs. The company can continue to innovate and reinvent what it could do with glass, and it created the Pyrex durable cookware, as well as the optical fiber that paved the way for internet telecommunication adoption. So in 2010, Corning created its proprietary Synthemax, an animal-free surface that can be used for stem cell cultures. It acquired MediaTek the following year and much of the Discovery Labware business the year after that. However, Corning is best used for its development of the hard-to-break Gorilla Glass. It's used on technology products such as the iPhone, the iPad, the Apple Watch, and Samsung, the S series of phones. So the ongoing partnership between Corning and the phone manufacturers such as Samsung and Apple has led to new advancements like the Ceramics Shield, which is designed to be stronger than any existing smartphone glass to date. Of course, Corning protected its innovations with the patent system. Next, we discuss IBM. For much of its history, IBM has been one of the world's top manufacturers of computers. But in the early 1990s, the company had to change course because its hardware business faced deep competition from PC clones. And in 1993, the company posted a staggering $8 billion quarterly loss. To turn the company around, executives made a bold decision to abandon the hardware area such as computer chips, hard drives, and printers. Instead, IBM would focus on software, IT consulting business, and computing research. And this move brought the company back to profitability and improved its reputation. IBM's spirit of reinvention continued with its 2020 decision to split into two companies, IBM, which would focus on cloud computing and artificial intelligence, and Kyndryl, a new company that would provide managed IT services. Though Kyndryl initially faced losses, impacting its parent company in the process, IBM remains an industry giant, with a brand value of over $87 billion in 2023. Now, IBM is one of the top 10 patent filers in the world. They used to be number one, but because of their strategy of moving toward open source and also towards services, that means less patents would be needed. And so they dropped from number one to number 10 in 2025. Next, we talk about Netflix. So Netflix is one of the world's top streaming entertainment providers. Started in 1998 as a company that allowed you to rent and buy physical DVD and tape movies. The company then added a subscription offering in 1999 where people can rent as many DVDs and as many videotapes as wanted, receiving the rentals in the mail. After seeing enormous success with its physical DVD rentals, executives decided to focus on streaming content that could be accessed simultaneously to the internet. And during the early days, bandwidth was not available, so that product was slow to be adopted. But as soon as the internet bandwidth improved, and Netflix invested in streaming and de-emphasized DVD rental, and that changed the entire entertainment landscape. In 2022, a Nielsen study found streaming services has more viewers than cable or broadcast television. And since launching into streaming services, Netflix offerings have only grown, acquiring streaming rights to films such as from Sony and DC. But today, they produce their own content, and the company is worth more than $200 billion. Next, we talk about Play-Doh. One of the strangest business pivots might be that of the popular children's modeling clay Play-Doh, which was first sold as a cleaner that could remove coal residue from wallpaper in the 1930s. As oil and gas businesses become more popular in the 50s, the demand fell for the product, and then the makers decided to getting rid of the business. The owner heard about a school teacher using the clay in arts and craft classes in the hometown of Cincinnati, and after realizing the potential of the children's toy, the company pivoted to a colorful product, and by the end of the 1950s, the clay had become a toy that one can buy in stores nationally. Today, Play-Doh is owned by Hasbro, and more than 3 billion cans of the products have been sold. Although any possible patents probably have expired by now, Play-Doh's branding remains significant. That is a lesson for a startup, is to acquire both patents as well as trademarks. Now we talk about Slack, a popular business partner collaboration and chat application. Slack began as a company called TinySpec that made a computer game called Glitch. The game itself was a flop, but one aspect of the game stuck was the interactive, colorful chat functionality that players and employees use. Once Glitch officially shut down and the team realized the powerful collaboration tool it had on its hand, it launched Slack app in 2013, and the rest is history. Slack grew quickly and the company went public in 2019. The company as of now has about 20 million active users in 2023, and by now about 40 million users. So Slack has a bunch of patents in the software space, as well as the branding. Slack is a famous mark. Now we talk about Starbucks. Starbucks is, when it first opened in the early 70s, it has only a few stores in Seattle, and only a few of those sold coffee beans and coffee making equipment. Then the former Starbucks director of marketing and retail, Howard Schultz, convinced the owners of Starbucks to sell the company, the brand, essentially the brand to him, and a few investor partners to transform it. Schultz pivoted the stores into coffee houses where you can buy prepared coffee as well as beans, and the company thrived, and he eventually stepped down as the CEO in 2000. Schultz then reinvented the company again when he returned as CEO in 2008, and in his second stint, Schultz pushed Starbucks to embrace technology to engage customers better. He recently retired and will probably remain lifelong chairman emeritus. Today, the Starbucks app is the most regularly used loyalty reward app among restaurant chains, and it is protected by patents as well as a trademark, Starbucks trademarks. Now we talk about YouTube. YouTube originated with two co-founders, Karim and Steve Chan and Chad Hurley, as a dating website. Now we talk about YouTube. So YouTube started with three founders in 2005, Jawed, Karim, Steve Chan, and Chad Hurley, as a dating website. They took out ads offering to pay people $20 a pop to post videos of themselves. The approach failed, but as users of the site began to post what are videos they like uploading, the founder embraced the idea. Ultimately, the site was purchased by Google, and the company revamped the website to make it easier to upload nearly anything. Google purchased the site in November 2006 for $1.6 billion in stock. And as of June 2022, users upload more than 500 hours of videos on the site every minute. So YouTube has a brand as well as patents on the ability to compress and store videos and the ability to stream them in an efficient manner. Of course, talking about technology companies, you cannot ignore Apple. At the inception in 1976, Apple predominantly sold top-of-the-line personal computers. And by the 1990s, however, the tech giant was close to bankruptcy. Upon Steve Jobs' return in 1997, Apple focuses efforts on innovation and design of new products, starting with the iMac. The sleek computer saw immediate success, launching the company into a new era of growth. From the iPod to the iPad to the now ubiquitous iPhone, Apple developed various new offerings for its growing customer base over the years. It continues to build out those products and services with new technological, functional, and design elements. Today, Apple remains a major player in the market, reporting a net income of $97 billion in 2023, and with a ton of patents. Apple, I think, now ranked in the top 10 of patent holders. Of course, you can also ignore the trademark power of the Apple logo. Now we talk about General Motors. Now, since its founding in 1908, General Motors, or GM, dominated the industry for decades. However, rising competitions from foreign manufacturers eventually led to a bailout in 2009 before the company entered bankruptcy. GM downsized and reorganized, emerging again as a public company in 2010, reclaiming its status as a top car manufacturer in the country. Under current CEO Barra, the company remained profitable, invested in new technologies like electric vehicles and self-driving cars. So GM has a huge portfolio of patents built since the 60s, actually earlier than that, in the 40s, but they've continued their dominance in the patent space. And more recently, they're moving into the electric vehicle patenting. Of course, the GM brand is also very significant. Now we talk about Lego. Lego was born during the Great Depression, offering wooden toys by the master carpenter Oleg Kirk Christiansen. The toy company started creating plastic bricks in 1949, and the early 1960s stopped the production of wooden toys altogether. Over the decade, Lego continued to expand its offering, including theme parks and a new product line based on Galador, a TV show partially funded by the brand, but ultimately faced financial difficulties in the 2000s. With the company in crisis, Lego refocused the business to return its core product line. Lego began to create products based around this core, including sets based on popular TV and movie franchises, as well as video games with Lego characters. The company has regained its popularity and profitability and is currently the third largest manufacturer globally, with products available in upwards of 130 countries. Lego recently now moved into small robotic kits where you have bricks that can be programmed to perform mechanical functions, and those are the basis of its more recent patents. And so again, Lego has patents as well as trademarks. And for startup companies, I think you always need to consider both the copyright, the trademark, and the patenting. And in a certain aspect, you should keep as a trade secret. So things that are not easily visible from an inspection of the product, you can keep that as a trade secret. If you have questions, please feel free to visit our site, patentpc.com, and create an appointment with me.